Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of I Talk to Notebooks. I am your host, Sarah, and today I am going to be doing something a little bit different because I didn't finish my pre-decorated pages in time to film this week's video, nor do I feel I should really have to do that. So I'm going to just be just journaling, a real journal with me, with of course a catch. So this video might be pretty quiet for most of it, but hopefully it's something relaxing that you can use to help you go to sleep or to stay with you while you journal. So the first thing I did was I actually added a few decorations to what I humbly believe is a beautiful spread already. And these decorations are from Life's Entropy, as you can tell. This is an independent cosmetics company, and I'll tell you why I have some things from it, but first I want to show you that I used that little crafting stamp to do the date. I used purple. And yeah, there's a lot of pauses in this video. I left a lot of them in. Used a Wet Ones hand wipe that smells very strange to clean that off. Saw that on someone else's channel that they use wipes to clean off their stamps, and I thought that was a good idea. So I've given it a try now. I have a little stash. And yeah, so here's the journaling part. I blurred out the actual words, but you can see where they are. And hopefully this is not too boring, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys think. So with regards to the Life's Entropy stuff, I was looking for a gray contour cream stick because I already have a very cool toned brown one, but when I'm doing more alternative makeup, I like to use gray contour. I had this like powder to cream makeup cake from Maron that I was using that was gray, but it wasn't working out very well because I think it was meant to be used all over the face, not for contouring. So it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, which is basically the sign of a poor makeup product. I'd really tried to work with it, tried different techniques. It just wasn't meant for contouring. It was meant to go over the whole face and turn your skin gray, like the aliens from Homestuck was most of the pictures that people were submitting in their Amazon reviews. No, I don't know the name of the aliens from Homestuck, sorry. Hope I don't infuriate anyone. But, or trolls, maybe they're called trolls. I'm making so many people mad. Anyways, moving along, so I wanted a cream one, and I was looking online, and there was a good review for this one called, Gamma Ray. It's a little tiny gray contour stick, and I thought I'd give it a shot, and I tried it out on the back of my hand, and it looks pretty gray, and the price really was right, so I gave it a shot, and it came with all this cool swag. There's also a sticker that I got that I did not use today that has a picture of a brain on it, and it's like a warning label, and it says caution contains logic, and I'm saving that in a very special place for when I need to go on a rant about what I think is something basic that most of humanity doesn't understand, which is like every day in my journal except for today apparently. So I really like the stickers and the swag and the aesthetic. They had that little acute mail inside on the outside of the envelope. It was like a holographic envelope. It was really cool. I didn't expect for it to be that polished and awesome. So if this contour stick works out, I'll definitely reorder it again. The only problem is it is pretty tiny. It doesn't look like it has a lot of product, but I don't go through contour sticks quite that fast. So I don't think it's a big deal that it's small. And you can notice that I take a lot of pauses while I'm writing. I just like to kind of sit back and think about my wording as I'm writing it. That's the great thing about writing by hand, is that you actually have to think about what's worth putting to paper because it's not as fast as typing, for most people anyway. And I'm writing with my Lamy Safari Vista, and the ink inside is Monteverde Charoite. Probably pronounced that wrong. It's from their gemstone collection. It's a lovely dark purple I thought would go well with the indigo and the gold and all the Life's Entropy decorations, which are also purple. So yeah, I had a drawing before with a little picture of a brain that I didn't unblur because I didn't feel like it. It wasn't that great of a drawing, to be honest. And you'll notice that my hands are also blurred when they go into that blur box, which is a little messy. I'm trying to learn editing one step at a time and try to do a decent job with each step instead of trying to do it all at once. With something like this, I've been putting off. I've wanted to make a video like this for a long time, but I've been putting it off because I really knew I would have to sit down and really learn how to do the blurring and be ready to get it right, because I really don't want the words to show, obviously. Even if I was writing the most mundane thing ever in my journal, like here's what I did today, which I wasn't writing anything particularly exciting this day. It's private, you know, I just rather it wasn't read. And the other thing is, if I'm ever writing about my days and stuff, then there's going to be other people that I spend time with who don't consent to appearing in my videos and having their activities shared with the world. So I always blur out their names on Instagram and their faces if I have a picture. So I don't want that to be any different on YouTube. I think that the people in my life are entitled to their privacy just as much as I am. And unless I get express consent from somebody, they are not going to be in my videos, either in person or their name or their picture. I think that's a good policy to have. And people have different policies with that. Like, some people think that you should never have anybody in your journaling videos or Instagram, and other people are just kind of share people, and it's no big deal either way. Like, as long as it's okay for the people in your life, that's all that matters. Most of the people in my life are very privacy minded. They don't want to even be on, like, my personal social media that's for friends and family. Like, I can't convince most people to let me post them. So I'm definitely not going to write about their day-to-day activities and then blast it all over YouTube. And I think that's just basic human decency, actually. So yeah. I really like that this blur feature on DaVinci Resolve lets you put really weird shapes. And I found that a lot of the shapes I write in, at least for these spreads that I wrote here, are really geometric, which I find really cool. That made it really easy to blur, but it also made it really satisfying to blur because the shapes are so easy to just click on the points. So yeah. It's a little messy, huh? We'll get there. Sometimes I like to peek forward and see, like, what's my next spread look like? What do I have to look forward to? I just really like the way the colors came together on these too, like those grayish blue stripes with the blue distress ink, and now I'm using a vintage Zebra Sarasa pen in like the gray blue color. It's really pretty. I really like it. One of the cool things too about editing in post, which I know is not what this channel is about, but I'm just have it on my mind because I think it's so cool, is that you can make it look like you knew what you were going to do before you did it, which I guess is kind of stupid because of course you do know that, but it reminds me of those TikTok videos where there's the different freeze frames flying around and you jump around and try to match up your position to the freeze frame, except it's easy because it's just editing because the freeze frames were already in the video before, but it looks super impressive anyway. So when I left that gap to write out Saint Maud, it was like, oh, I knew exactly where I was going to write it, even though of course I knew. I don't know. Simple things amuse me. It doesn't take a lot to make me happy and excited. Speaking of Saint Maud, I wrote my little review of that movie, which I saw over the weekend, and I loved it. It was an amazing movie. I would recommend you go and see it immediately. Caveat, if you like horror movies and have a high tolerance for them, because it was pretty disturbing at times, to be honest with you. I've been anticipating that movie since 2019. I really liked Hereditary, and I also enjoyed Midsommar pretty well. I don't think it was as good as Hereditary by any means or even close, but it was definitely worth the watch. And Hereditary is my favorite horror movie of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time. It was one of the only scary movies that really stayed with me, and so when I heard that A24 was coming out with a new horror movie that was religious themed, I was really excited because I find religious themed horror, like really horror where like the religion itself or the god itself is like the scary entity of the movie, not where it's like the devil because the Conjuring universe would also be a religious horror movie, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like this movie here, or Saint Maud would be an example. I'm sorry, Saint Maud, obviously that's what I'm talking about. There's an interactive fiction game called Vespers that you may know about if you're really into interactive fiction, and that would be an example as well. I find it really hard to find horror media where like it's a scary movie and it's a religious scary movie, but it's not just, oh, it's a demon, oh, it's the devil, let's throw a cross at it and call it a day. Like, it's much more complex and interesting when it's turned on its head, and what you would expect to be the good is actually the evil. Which isn't exactly what Saint Maud was, but it's close enough. I mean, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I definitely think you should watch it. It's really fascinating, totally unexpected, and as I wrote in this entry, in my opinion, it had the best ending of any horror movie I've seen, way better even than the ending of Hereditary, which I thought was only okay. And, well, the music made the ending of Hereditary really, really good, but the ending of this movie was just, I don't know, there aren't a whole lot of movies that I think ended better than this one. There's just so much to think about with this movie, so I really recommend it. If you like scary movies and you're really getting a little bored of the same thing every time, and it being predictable, and there being all these pointless jump scares, you really want to be viscerally disturbed, I would definitely recommend Saint Maud. And you can watch it on, where do we watch it? We watched it on, I think we watched it on Hulu with no ads, and with the lowest subscription, it's like the cheapest subscription you can get to Hulu, it was on there with no ads. Amazing movie. Soundtrack, I don't remember it at all, so that's one thing. The Ari Aster films had really good soundtracks, particularly Hereditary did, and really good subliminal elements too, that Saint Maud didn't really go into the subliminal as much, but Saint Maud had a lot of other elements that were really interesting. The acting in particular, I think, was very, very excellent for Saint Maud. The characterization was really clever. The writing was really clever. There are pros and cons. Not as good as Hereditary, but really good. Okay, there's my movie review. Did you mean to sign on to a movie review channel? No, this is still a journaling channel, but I'm journaling about a movie. And I saw another movie over the weekend, and you might be able to guess from the video that is playing that it's called My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To, which no one has seen this movie, I don't think, because when you type it into YouTube, all you get are trailers. Nobody is, like, deconstructing it or analyzing it, which is a shame, because even though it was not a great follower to Saint Maud, which was really exceptional, this movie was definitely a really interesting movie, very different, which is really what I'm looking for in a horror movie these days, because I've seen them all, you know, or that's how it feels. And it was unsettling. It was more of a thriller than a horror movie, to be honest, but it was very, very different. It was a new twist on a very, very old trope. And I think the characterization, again, was just fascinating. And watching how people react to the characters can be really interesting and thought-provoking to discuss with people, which I can't do because nobody's talking about it online or anywhere else. But at least I watched it with my boyfriend, so we could at least talk about it. And it was interesting dialogue, you know, wondering, just picking apart the different elements of it, and there are a lot of moral questions in it, which is always interesting in a movie. It gives you something to talk about with the people you watched it with afterwards, which I think is a pretty good selling point for a movie. You know, you want it to leave you thinking afterwards, and it definitely did, because I had a lot to write about, as you can see. Oh, that page is so pretty. And then I just had a few concluding thoughts. Spreads don't always end neatly, so I just finished it up right there. And, wow. Luckily that wasn't too private, or else I would be disappointed with the blur there. Bye!